We're going to take a close-up look at this thing now. I was pretty well impressed with it when I first got it, but after taking some time and checking it over, it all kind of changed a bit, and I'll go over why. Let's take a good look at it. All the way up to there. Alright, we'll start at this end down here. What we got on the butt plate here is these things are riveted in. They're riveted in, and you see there's a serial number down there. Now, if you ever had a problem with the stock, I don't know how you'd get the butt plate off. Use that piece. The stock itself is teak wood, and it's not too terrible of a finish. It's kind of, you know, squared, not shaped well, but what I'd worry about is if it's durable enough for firing a gun like this, which I don't know. Another thing down here on the trigger guard, which I didn't like, you see that screw there isn't quite flush down in there? Well, that's the main screw that comes up back and holds the barrel up top there. That isn't lined up correctly. And it's got a long, long barrel, goes down. And now this type of gun, that pin there, you see those pins? That's what's holding the barrel down in the stock. There's a little tab welded, probably, or soldered onto the bottom of the barrel. And then you drive those little pins through, drill a hole, and that's what holds the barrel down. Now the gun is light. The wood is light, the barrel is light. The ramrod is also made out of this light wood, lightweight wood. You can feel it with a metal tip. Anybody who's into muzzleload knows that your ramrod should be made out of something pretty durable and sturdy. Now, in all the photographs I've seen about these guns, you never see the muzzle end. And kind of that's why. You know, there's a sight on there. It's pretty thin for a huge bore. The cut on there on the end of it, I didn't like because there's a burr, little fine burr, and kind of that muzzle, just pretty simple, pretty inexpensive. And as far as shooting this with a round ball, I don't know. It'd be a little. Now, some people have these guns proofed. I don't know how you go about doing that. I don't know if it'd be wise. Now, to the main sticking points. Get this up here. Yeah, I'll try to get this standing up where I can look. But you look down in the pan, and you see that there's no vent hole in there. That's just a solid piece of metal. There should be a vent hole drilled. That's where you drill it down around in here somewhere. Now the lock itself is, it isn't too terrible. It's fitted into the stock well. And the biggest point I have is this screw, which holds the jaw, seems to be bent or stuck. You can see it, it's running against the hammer itself. And then when this shouldn't be like that. Okay? So right there, that's with that screw being bent, when I move it, bent or stuck or whatever, it's like hitting the jaw down in there. I can't get it to back out. So that right alone in itself, you know, this gun, it'd be difficult to set a flint in there. I don't think you could get it to even if you just were sparking powder in the pan or to make it spark without the vent hole. And then the frizzen is hardened. You can tell. It's pretty good, you know, it's hardened well, which is probably the biggest problem you'll have with a flintlock. But it's hardened so well that a burr on the frizzen itself has scored the barrel, tore the barrel up here. And that was the second biggest thing I really did not like about this gun. And in my opinion, I've seen these guns go for, you know, around $625 in some shops. You know, this one I got it for, this one I paid about $420. But with that hammer and the damage and looking at that barrel, and also the barrel's not round. I use my calipers to measure the barrel on the end. And we'll go back here. And when I was running my calipers in there, you know, there's 750 thousandths. There's 54 thousandths. And then this way, let me check that again. But it's not quite concentric or round. And, you know, if you're firing blanks or something, as a reenactor, that's fine. It's not an issue. If you're firing round balls, it could be a problem. So basically I'm going to wrap this up and I'm sending it back. Fortunately I can get a refund for it, but I'm not impressed with it as a weapon to shoot actual round balls or live fire. As a reenactor, to fire blanks or something, it's probably sufficient enough to do that, you know, without spending a ton of money, because I went to one place and I looked up a lock like this, just the lock from that company, high quality, exact reproduction of a lock from a weapon in a museum. The lock alone is like $350. You know, nevertheless the finished gun. So I think this one here, the first one on these Indian muskets, I'm not satisfied with it, sending it back. So that's where this one's going to end up. Alright, our first attempt with the reproduction muskets made in India. I just sent it out FedEx to return it because I really didn't like the thing, and I'm out a total of $78.87 for that experience. Now I know we didn't get to drill a vent hole or test it out. I do have another one coming from another company. It's been almost a month for me to get it, and so when we get this other one, I'll make another series of videos, and hopefully this one I'll attempt to get it to live fire. And so we'll have some kind of, but for now I really wasn't happy with the quality of that item. I would really be nervous about firing it, so it went back. And I didn't really want to get tied up with two of them, so maybe the second one will try to get it going, or I might send that back too if the quality is out there. Okay, so just stay tuned, and when this other gun arrives, I'll make another series of videos, and hopefully this is helping somebody out watching this, giving you some information to make an informed choice.